Before she wore the crown, she was scrubbing toilets, doing laundry, and earning just $5 an hour. This is the secret, surprisingly normal life of Lady Diana Spencer before she became a princess. In the spring of 1980, an American businesswoman named Mary Robertson was living in London, desperately looking for a part-time nanny to watch her toddler, Patrick. She called a local agency, and soon, an incredibly shy, polite 18-year-old girl showed up at her door. The girl was wonderful. She washed the dishes, picked up toys, did the laundry, and charged just $5 an hour. But one afternoon, Mary was cleaning up and found a stray bank slip under the sofa. She glanced at the name on the deposit slip. It didn't say Diana. It read, Lady Diana Spencer. And the deposit was to Coutts and Company, the exclusive bank of the British royal family. Mary confronted her nanny, realizing this quiet teenager was actually an aristocrat from one of England's oldest noble families. Diana just blushed, smiled, and went right back to folding the laundry. To understand why a lady of the realm was scrubbing floors for $5 an hour, we have to look at the world she grew up in. Diana was born into immense privilege, growing up on the royal Sandringham estate. But academically, she struggled. She failed her O-level exams twice, essentially leaving school at 16 without a high school diploma. She was sent to a prestigious Swiss finishing school, but she hated speaking French, skipped classes to go skiing, and left after just one term. In the aristocratic circles of 1970s Britain, young women of Diana's class weren't expected to build corporate careers. They were expected to marry well. But Diana wanted independence. She wanted the city. So, when she turned 18, her mother bought her a flat in London's Earl's Court. Diana moved in with 3 roommates, and for the first time in her life, she was just a normal teenager trying to pay her own way. Diana's true passion was movement. She loved music, she was an accomplished pianist, and her absolute dream was to dance. She quickly found work as a youth dance instructor. For a while, she was in her element, teaching children how to move, leap, and express themselves. But then, tragedy struck. A bad skiing accident left her with a severe injury, forcing her to miss 3 months of work. She lost the job, and with it, her dream of dance instruction. But Diana wasn't one to sit idle. To make ends meet, she took on whatever work she could find. She signed up to work as a hostess at high society cocktail parties, serving drinks to the elite. Even more surprising, she worked as an under-the-radar cleaning lady. She swept, dusted, and scrubbed the apartments of her older sister, Sarah, and several of her wealthy friends. To her friends, she was just Dee, the sweet, energetic girl who didn't mind getting her hands dirty. Eventually, Diana found the place where she truly belonged, the Young England Kindergarten in Pimlico. Here, she worked as a preschool assistant. She was paid a modest wage to paint with the children, read them stories, and tie their shoelaces. The school had an old-school approach to education, plenty of outdoor play, music, and simple joy. It was during this time that a certain Prince Charles began courting her. Suddenly, the quiet nursery school in Pimlico was surrounded by photographers. Paparazzi camped outside, desperate for a glimpse of the shy teenager who was capturing the heart of the heir to the throne. In September of 1980, photographers asked Diana to pose for a picture. She agreed, holding a toddler on each hip. She didn't realize the sun was behind her, making her skirt completely translucent. It became one of the most famous photos in history, the moment the world truly met Lady Diana. On February 24, 1981, Diana's engagement to Prince Charles became official. With a heavy heart, she had to hand in her notice at the nursery school and say goodbye to the Robertsons. Almost overnight, her life of shared flats, $5 an hour nanny jobs, and teaching children to dance was replaced by the cold, lonely corridors of Buckingham Palace. But those years of menial work weren't a waste. They defined her. Unlike the royals who came before her, Diana knew what it was like to wash dishes, to work for a living, and to connect with everyday people. It was this brief, normal life in London that gave her the empathy and down-to-earth warmth that would eventually make her the people's princess. She remained in touch with Mary Robertson, the American mother she nannied for 16 years, sending her cards and letters until her tragic death in 1997. Mary would later attend Diana's funeral, calling it the saddest hour of her life. Diana Spencer was born an aristocrat and died a global icon. But for a few fleeting, beautiful years in London, she was just a teenager with a dream, a feather duster, and a heart full of love for the children she cared for. Before she wore the crown, she was scrubbing toilets, doing laundry, and earning just $5 an hour. This is the secret, surprisingly normal life of Lady Diana Spencer before she became a princess.